Alrighty, so we just finished row 5. So you can kind of see in the preview here of this start of row 5 what that looks like. So when we go to start row 6, I'll pull it up on the tracker, is going to be kind of when there's a slight, so the pattern gets slightly different. So what you can see on the screen here is instead of continuing with on the small blocks only, there's going to be a square that's in the middle. So I'm going to expand the tracker a little bit so you can kind of see there's a 3 rows where the dark pink comes back in there. And so that's going to be where the pattern slightly shifts. The larger blocks continue with their normal pattern where each row increases by 2 that way. So those are going to be the same. And then there will be a row where the entire 25 stitches are completely red, and then it starts kind of decreasing as that. So start of row 6 is where things get a little bit more, I hate to say interesting, but definitely different. So is the point. So it's gonna do a little bit more color changes. As you can see, we'll have 1 of the dark pink, 3 of the light, 5 dark, 3 light, 1 dark. So this first 13, there's gonna be quite a few color changes. The next row is gonna be 4, 5, 4. And then row 8 is going to be a repeat of row 6, except we get into this corner here is going to start the red instead of the dark pink. So, oops, one more. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and start with the row 6 now. And this will be a kind of a good row to kind of emphasize the need for little be generous with the tension of those single color changes. And let me get into that real quick. Line up my colors here. Hopefully the yarn doesn't get snagged by stitch markers. Okay. So we're going to start with 1 of the dark pink. Once I get the yarn all attached. When I just say, hey, we're going to be a little extra generous, all that means is I kind of give it a tug, make sure that, that bar isn't too tight. If it's like this, it's going to kind of disappear on you real quick, especially when we start off with a single color. So be a little generous on that. And then we're going to grab the light pink. And we do 3. Gonna swap back over to the dark pink and do 5. And the squares in the middle of these small blocks are always going to be 5 stitches across and 3 rows high. So kind of a nice little clean number for that little square. And then we're gonna swap back to the pink. And then 1, be extra generous. And it's okay if it honestly feels like, in that case, that, oh, it's like a little loose, isn't it? Well, once you keep going, it's not too bad. Whoops. Just, of course, lost that. So basically the goal is to make sure there's not that dip. I know on row 3, we had a few examples where my tension was off and you saw kind of a dip in between these 2 stitches. So even though it feels like it would be too loose, kind of once you keep going and keep that momentum up, you can kind of see it lines up just fine. So Especially, this is especially needed for these single colors. Just kind of give it a quick tug, make sure it's not too tight. Otherwise you will kind of run into that dippy. Now, if you do have some dips, again, it's not going to be um, absolutely, devastating. So you just kind of want to keep going and just correct it as you go along versus like frogging the whole thing. So I can already see like this stitch right here, I'm losing this extra bar right here. And so again, I don't want people nitpicking um their pieces. I want, if you sit there and nitpick, you'll never get done. But you can kind of grab that second bar of that stitch, pull it out, play with it a little bit, with your hands, and that'll kind of even that up a bit. And that's just, I've done it plenty of times. I'm not like yanking it to where I'm actually pulling yarn out. I just kind of make it so it's not. Sometimes the yarn is not actually tight; it's just caught, kind of in the stitch. Because you do have a lot of friction with carrying all of those colors, so you can kind of see like it looked like that red got snagged somewhere in that color change. So it's going to show on the back, but it's not going to necessarily show on the front, except maybe that there's a little tugging there. So, and it just means I probably grabbed like a fiber of the red within the stitch. That's hard to see in the front, but clearly on the back it looks like something was missed. So, again, momentum is the way. Um, don't get too stuck on perfection with it. You have 89 rows of practice on this particular project. And so that is going to help you balance your tension. And, a mistake or two makes it unique. So don't get too caught up in it. I'm going to go ahead and keep going. In short, the little square box that we're going to start doing is only in the small blocks. The large 25 stitch blocks with the red triangle here are going to remain the same pattern where we increase by 2 each row, and then we'll start decreasing that way. So show me your progress and we'll go from there. Thank you.